Well, good morning all, and welcome to the 2024 Richard Rybacki Award ceremony. I'm Bob Cronin, Chair of the Custom House, and I welcome you to our museum. I'd like to recognize a few of our distinguished guests, and there is quite a list, so bear with me. Rear Admiral Michael E. Platt, he's Commander, 1st Coast Guard District. Rear Admiral Retired John Moga. Rear Admiral Retired Dan May. State Senator Bruce Carr, State Representative Don Shand, Sean Reardon, Mayor of Newburyport, former Mayor Donna Holliday, City Councilwoman Heather Shand, Master Chief Petty Officer Carlos Kessler, Officer in Charge, Station Merrimack River, and various members of United States Coast Guard District 1 and members of Sector Boston, and also crew members of Station Merrimack. Welcome all. And finally, our guest of honor, MK2 David Bolstrich, our award recipient. So without further ado, this program. The Rybacki Award recognizes the accomplishments of a serving member at Station Merrimack River, but it reinforces the long bond what is now between the United States Coast Guard and the city of Newburyport. This bond not only dates to the infancy of our republic, the launch of the Revenue Cutter, Massachusetts, but the relationship between the United States Coast Guard, the city of Newburyport, and its population. President Johnson in 1964 signed a congressional resolution forever making Newburyport the birthplace of the United States Coast Guard. Almost 50 years later, Newburyport was recognized by Congress as a Coast Guard city. The Custom House Maritime Museum is a proud steward of this relationship, and we are proud to display the Coast Guard's long and proud legacy in this historic building. Now let me introduce, I believe, Coast Guard Auxiliary Chaplain Floyd Grace is going to offer a prayer.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, great God of the sea, land, and air, we thank you for this day and for the life and legacy of Rear Admiral Richard Rybacki. We are grateful for the exemplary leadership and the true model of honor, respect, and devotion to duty left to us by the Admiral. Today we celebrate his life by carrying forward the award that bears his name and commemorates the tradition that recognizes those same traits in an active duty Coast Guard member from Merrimack River Station. By honoring their hard work, commitment to excellence, and spirit of service, we establish those same traits in us all and count them as worthy. As we participate, please bless those who will speak, inspire them so that we may be enheartened by their message. For the recipient and his family, we pray our gratitude and blessing to be upon them. Thank you for all gathered here, Custom House, Maritime Museum, Newburyport Community, Coast Guard, Active Duty, and Auxiliary, and the Rybacki family. As we celebrate today with food, fun, and fellowship, we think of those standing the watch, ready to respond. Watch over and protect them, we pray. And now, Lord, bless our time together that we may be honored, that we may bring honor to your name. And now, Heavenly Father, please superintend these proceedings. Amen.
At this time, I'd like to introduce our State Senator, Bruce Carr.
Thank you very much, Bob, and good morning. And what an honor it is to be here with all of you for this very auspicious event for the presentation of the Rybacki Award. I first just want to give congratulations to the Custom House Museum. And James, you and your team, and Bob, you have really given new life to this institution, and we are so proud of it. It houses so much history and has so much potential for our future. And you all deserve a great amount of credit for gathering us often in this location, and particularly today. And I want to say thanks to Parker as well. I had a chance to meet him not too long ago when he was working on some exhibits here, and really exemplifies the spirit, Parker, of community service and public service. And we're all very proud of you, so thank you for that. Also, yes, give me a round of applause. Also, I want to welcome Rear Admiral Platt. We are honored to have you with us today, and we are honored to have you serving as the 1st District Commander, and certainly as a son of Massachusetts. We are very, very proud of you, and it's great to have you with us today. It's great to see so many of you here today, many of you whom I've had the opportunity to work with over the years. Rear Admiral Dan May, retired right here in the front row, and we certainly had some experiences together on behalf of the Coast Guard that Rear Admiral Platt, we don't want to discuss publicly, but it was a lot of fun.
I remember you dumping water on me in hospital.
I've had the honor of serving the Coast Guard Auxiliary for nearly 30 years, and it's been a great honor to do so. And I see so many shipmates from the Auxiliary here, and it's wonderful to see you all assembled, because one of the most significant things about the Coast Guard is the way that it has embraced civilian service on the part of the Auxiliary, not only to supplement its mission, but also to complement and strengthen its mission, particularly in the wake of service reductions and the other kind of challenges the Coast Guard has faced. The Auxiliary has stepped up to the plate and now plays an even more significant role than it has throughout the history of the Coast Guard. And so it's great to see so many shipmates here. And it's great to be able to reflect on the history of this great city and its relationship to the United States Coast Guard, giving birth to the Revenue Cutter Service and also becoming a Coast Guard city just a few years ago, reflecting the continuing bond between the city of Newburyport and the United States Coast Guard. And today, we recognize, thanks to Lucinda and her family, and I want to say thanks to you, it's great to see you. We give honor to someone who exemplifies service in the Coast Guard, and we do so in recognition of someone who, in my opinion, set the gold standard for service in the United States Coast Guard, Rear Admiral Richard Rybacki. I had the opportunity to know him, to work with him, and he always struck me as someone who was an unfailing gentleman, someone who was firm, he was in command, he was always receptive to ideas, he was always open to partnership, and he always made you proud when you saw him of our United States Coast Guard. And so I want to thank Lucinda and her family for bringing this idea forward a while ago to be able to offer an award in recognition or in honor of Rear Admiral Rybacki. He was a great man and a good friend, and it's great to be here with you today. And so today we really recognize that spirit of service that Admiral Rybacki represented. He served in so many different ways in the Coast Guard, ashore, at sea. He was for a while, as my understanding, the comptroller of the Coast Guard. And as Representative Shand and I know, when you control the purse strings, you have a tremendous amount of power and responsibility. But he was the kind of person in the United States Coast Guard that went where he was needed, when he was needed to be there, adopted the mission, accepted the mission, elevated the troops that he was working with, and made us all, very proud of the United States Coast Guard. And leaders like that are forged in the ranks as they come through the various levels of service in the Coast Guard, as they work through the various challenges, and as their leadership becomes more acutely developed, and as they begin to deploy those skills. And so today, we recognize, in terms of our awardee, someone who represents just that. You know, one of the interesting things about the Coast Guard is that it is populated by small boat stations all across the United States of America. And one of the unique things about small boat stations is they forge a deep bond with the community in which they are housed. And that bond extends not only from seeing members out in the community, but also helping with things, acknowledging issues that need to be addressed, and being a welcoming place for the community to come and learn about the United States Coast Guard. And of course we know, and it's been said at the microphone already by our chaplain, everyone in the United States Coast Guard stands the risk of being exposed to peril at any moment, and on any day, and at any time. And of course here in Newburyport, we see that with Station Merrimack River, because anybody who's seen the bar at the right tide knows what risk is all about. So I'm honored to be here with my colleagues in government to be able to not only remember Rear Admiral Rybacki, but also recognize someone who's following in his tradition. And so, MK2 Bolstridge, it is a great honor to recognize you. You have been serving for a while, but you are yet early in your career. And early in that career, you have shown us that the great tradition of Rear Admiral Rybacki carries on. That the things that he believed in, the things that he cared about, the things that he gave us were not lost with him. They carry on with you and folks all across the United States of America and abroad who continue to proudly wear the uniform of the United States Coast Guard. But today we think about you because you personify those things. You were doing an incredible job at Station Merrimack River. You were always at the ready. You were always there to liaise with the community. You were always there, like Rear Admiral Rybacki, to make us proud of you and all that are at Station Merrimack River, and by extension, all of the men and women in the United States Coast Guard. And every day, you do it with a smile. And everything I've heard about you is that one of your most important attributes is your friendly approach and your friendly nature. And I will tell you, from my perspective, that is one of the most important things for the future of the United States Coast Guard, so that we can continue to be understood by the community, embraced by the community, and in partnership with the community. So I'm pleased to be able to come and bring you a citation for myself and my colleagues in the Senate to recognize your award today. And I'm going to ask you to join me up here in just a minute. I know you have some paperwork there, and I think I see a combination hat in your hands. But I want to ask if you join me up here at the microphone so I can present this to you, sir. So this is from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the State Senate. It's an official citation, and it reads, "Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to David Bolstridge, MK2, in recognition of your distinguished service in the United States Coast Guard, acknowledged by the 2024 Admiral Richard J. Rybacki Award from the Custom House Maritime Museum. And be it further known that the Massachusetts State Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. This is signed by our Senate President, Karen Spilka. It's attested to by our Clerk, Michael Hurley, and I am proud to offer it on October 5th, 2024, on a day when a young MK2 gave us reason to still have hope, to still believe in our armed services, to still appreciate the value every day to mariners and public safety and homeland security of the United States Coast Guard, an institution that started here and has really changed the history of the world. So MK2, congratulations, sir. I hope you will carry on, and just know that we are incredibly proud of you, and we all look forward to seeing your continuing career in the United States Coast Guard. Congratulations. Okay, got it. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate
Thank you, Senator. I would now like to introduce State Representative Dawn Shank.
I'm honored to speak here today in front of so many distinguished guests, including Admiral Platt, my colleagues in service, and the family of Rear Admiral Rybacki. James Russell asked me to say a few words about the history of Newburyport and the Revenue Cutter Service. So its first ship, named the Massachusetts, was built in Newburyport. 4 officers took charge. Captain John Foster Williams of Boston, First Mate Hezekiah Wilch of Charleston, second mate Nathaniel Nichols of Cohasset, and third mate Sylvanus Coleman of Nantucket. So John Foster Williams served in the Massachusetts State Navy during the American Revolution. Commissioned in 1791 as a revenue marine officer by President George Washington, he was given oversight of the construction of the cutter Massachusetts, and he built, without approval, a ship larger than the one Secretary Hamilton had requested. First mate Hezekiah Welch of Charlestown attained his position by writing a heartbreaking letter to George Washington about his post-war poverty. He offered letters of recommendation from his brother, Samuel Adams, then Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth. Second mate Nichols Nathaniel kept a journal of his time on the ship, and he wrote, "No revenue cutter in Secretary of Treasury Alexander Hamilton's system of cutters saw shorter federal service than the first Massachusetts, a 70-ton schooner built in Newburyport, Massachusetts in 1791. One of the first 10 armed vessels of the United States ordered to patrol the Atlantic coast to protect the revenue. She was too costly to please Alexander Hamilton, too expensive to operate to please General Benjamin Lincoln, and too slow to please her master, Captain John Foster Williams." And third mate Sylvanus Coleman of Nantucket became the Coast Guard's first court-martial. He was dismissed in 1793 for insubordination. So in many ways, the story of this crew is not an auspicious one. Their experiences remind me that the work to build a successful nation and a professional military was never predestined to succeed. It could have failed. So for 233 years, leaders like the ones in today's audience have done the unsung and unheralded work of continuous improvement, of training, of leading its people to meet the evolving needs of our nation. The Rybacki Award is given each year to the person who best embodies the Coast Guard's core values of honor, respect, and devotion to duty. So it's with my profound thanks and gratitude that I offer this citation from the Massachusetts House of Representatives to Petty Officer David Holstridge.
Now I'd like to introduce the Mayor of Newburyport, Sean Reardon. Mayor.
All right. Commander Platt, Executive Director Russell, Captain Bob Cronin, and all the members of our community here in attendance. It is an honor to be with you today for the presentation of the Admiral Richard Rybacki Award. Established by the Rybacki family to honor his dedication to the public and community service, this is presented annually to a member of Station Merrimack River, who best exemplifies the spirit of respect, honor, and devotion to duty, both in service of the Coast Guard and the community in which they serve. I am so happy that Admiral Rybacki's daughter, Lucinda, is here today for this special presentation. You know, we here in Newburyport are proud to say that we are the birthplace of the Coast Guard, and being certified as a Coast Guard city is at the core of our identity. On our city seal, you can see the Latin phrase, terra marique, meaning simply land and sea. This speaks to me of how central our relationship to the river and ocean is to us as a community. We bring visitors from all over the world to spend time on the land and sea here in Newburyport. And our access to the water is so important to our residents, old and new. While our position along the Merrimack in the ocean is an incredible asset, it also presents tremendous responsibility to ensure the safety of all those who spend time there. We are very lucky to have a partner as strong as the U.S. Coast Guard in carrying out this mission to protect the Newburyport community. Our Harbor Master, Paul Hogg, is in constant communication with the Coast Guard, and they collaborate with all of our public safety teams when they are called to do so. We've been reminded too many times in recent memory of the potential for disaster, but we are grateful for the Coast Guard for their partnership in search and rescue operations. We also honor Machine Technician Petty Officer 2nd Class David Boltrich's service and congratulate him on receiving the Admiral Richard Rybacki Award. This recognition is much deserved, and we are lucky to have you here in Newburyport. Again, thank you all for attending today. Thank you to the Custom House Maritime Museum for hosting this wonderful event, and I look forward to the continued partnership with the Coast Guard. Thank you all for what you do for our great city and our great country. Thank you very much.
Just before I introduce our next speaker, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say that this is probably the first time in the history of Newburyport that we've had 3 flag officers in the same room, at the Custom House or anywhere in town. But with that being said, our next speaker, Commander, 1st Coast Guard District, Rear Admiral Michael Platt.
Good morning, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. It's a true honor to be here today with 3 flag officers, and I didn't realize I'm one of those, right? I've got some great remarks that my staff wrote for me here. I've got a terrific staff at the John Foster Williams building in downtown Boston. But it goes through a lot of the history, I think, that you just heard, right? And so I'm going to try to speak from the heart, which is always dangerous because I don't have any words to back me up. It's going to have to come from inside. And I'll tell you that I grew up in Boston and joined the Coast Guard and served all across the country, in Puerto Rico, been up to Alaska, been all around. And I didn't really take into consideration the amazing history that we have in Massachusetts and New England. And of course, Newburyport we call the birthplace of the Coast Guard. I didn't know any of that. And I got to come back in this capacity to serve as district commander. And that's part of the reason why I'm here. I should give this opportunity to another captain who's the Coast Guard Sector Boston commander, under which the machinery technicians unit operates. But I wanted to come here. I wanted to be a part of this. I wanted to see this museum. Again, my remarks have some great history in here, but how can I tell you guys some history when we're in a museum, right? So to be able to come back in this capacity and learn about the history of Newburyport is just amazing. So thanks to the museum for hosting this. Thanks to the city for all that you do for the Coast Guard. To be, one of 2 Coast Guard cities in Massachusetts is phenomenal because that means that the citizenry is really receptive to Coast Guard men and women. And that is really what we need when we're not like the Department of Defense, where we go to this big base with 30,000 soldiers. We come to your community and we want to be a part of your community. So for you to receive us as your community and welcome us and make it to a Coast Guard city is truly phenomenal. So I'm grateful for that, and I'd like to give you a round of applause for doing that for us. So of course, then the risk of speaking from the heart is then I got to figure out where I can pick up on my speech and really talk to what I got written down here. So I get to live in Beverly, Massachusetts, in the Hospital Point Lighthouse, and there's a plaque that I put on a wall. And I look at it every day that I walk in there. And it has all the admirals that have lived in the house. And of course, Admiral Rybacki's name is there. And I look at that, and I looked at that this morning and thought about, this award and what it means. And it's phenomenal to live in the place where that gentleman who gave so much to the Coast Guard in the 1st District, and now I'm there, and I feel like I can't live up to that. But at least I want to be here to acknowledge this award today and to meet you people and see this museum. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Lucinda Cathcart. Thank you for your family's service. We are honored today to present the Rear Admiral Rybacki Award, which represents your father's dedicated service to this community and a life that epitomized the Coast Guard values, core values of honor, respect, and devotion to duty. We talked about some of the history already. That's where my remarks have a couple of paragraphs here. I'm going to skip that. But today, Rear Admiral Rybacki's award is presented to Coast Guard Station Merrimack River crew member that best exemplifies Rear Admiral Rybacki's service to the Coast Guard and displays a commitment to their crew members, the service, and the community. And as you guys heard, this year's Rear Admiral Rybacki Award is presented to Machinery Technician Second Class David Bolstridge, who represents Rear Admiral Rybacki's character and legacy in several tangible and positively impactful ways. Since reporting the station Merrimack River in 2022, Petty Officer Bolstridge has excelled as a living Marine resource officer and law enforcement instructor. He's logged hundreds of underway hours, is one of a few boarding officers in his duty section, and participated in 6 search and rescue cases. In his spare time, he oversees the station's facility maintenance and hazardous material management programs. Both are critical for providing safe working environments for his crews. I offer congratulations to Petty Officer Bolstridge. Thank you for your dedication. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and Semper Paratus.
If Rear Admiral Rybacki's daughter, Ms. Lucinda Cathcart, can come up and present the Rybacki Award.
Hello. Most of all, let me first apologize for bringing my computer with me. I am, for the first time, presenting this award no longer as a 32-year resident of Newburyport. I have moved to Western Massachusetts, which is beautiful and also another wonderful community to be part of, but I don't have a printer here. So, there you go. I was stoked. I am in awe and so honored to be here. Most of all, to have this experience, to be able to give this award to you, David. But I'm also now blown away by the speakers that just spoke before me. I thank you for the kind words that you said. I thank you for the way in which you encapsulated the honor that I feel that my father deserves, that should be passed down to the next generation, and just for the history, because I can't get enough. And I, being me, never keep it all in my bank of data that I should. So every time I hear it, I'm like, wow, that's really special. So we live in a special place. My father was a special man, and this is an honor to do. So I thank you for that, all of that. So, in case you haven't picked up on this detail, my name is Lucinda Cathcart. I am Admiral Rybacki's youngest daughter, now almost 60. So his other 2 children live in Texas and California, and they're much older than me. Not here, so I can say that. So, another just short little thing I have to share with you is we were sitting in Beverly this morning, across the street from Hospital Point. And, you know, of course, it's a view of which is hard to describe. And you look out and you're like, oh, did you see that? Oh, did you see that? So there were all these black birds coming in succession, in formation, whatever you want to call it. And it was pretty impressive. And I was like, I said to Alan, I'm like, oh, I saw that earlier. Well, turns out there were not just a few birds coming in formation. There were, I would say, over 1,000. Would you agree with me? So 1,000 cormorants were landing in right in whatever that bay is called, Rice Beach, little area there. It was insane. It was hard to describe. And of course, like, I'm trying to write this speech, and so Alan is like, oh, it's your dad, right? You know, this is his way of saying, you got this. But I look up, and there's on top of it all, a rainbow as well. So I just want to say, it was with great energy and excitement that I started the day and then arrived to this. And this is a wow, because this room is full of just some pretty impressive and incredible people. So, thank you for being here. I feel honored to be asked to perform this duty year after year. So, first, let's put my qualifications on the table. I am not a service member. I am no longer a resident of Newburyport, and really, I'm not very nautical. But don't worry, I stand here because of my deep love and respect for my father's lifetime of commitment to the Coast Guard and the many communities that his career gave him the opportunity to be part of. I also stand here in awe of the work being done by the Merrimack River Station and the meaningful role that the Custom House plays in honoring the deep history of our community. For my father, as for many of the recipients of this award, the Coast Guard was not just a job. It was his passion and it was his life. And he felt honored to have the opportunity to go from being a farm boy from Western Massachusetts to, a young kid that got to sail on the Eagle and then go on to do great and wonderful things throughout his career. One thing that my dad was always sure to weave into his work was vision. It wasn't enough for him to stay in his lane. He always wanted to be part of learning new things, developing, and playing an important part in being sure that the organizations that he was involved with prioritized that. This quality seemed of special note this year because some exciting changes seemed to be happening. A new guard, so to speak. A few batons being passed. I'm excited to be sharing this day with all of you, but I want to acknowledge Admiral Platt, James Russell, and Master Chief Carlos Hessler, and thank them for continuing to keep this award alive and meaningful. You will do what my father did and do it with great style as he did. Both of you sitting there. My gratitude stands for all of you who've been involved throughout the years. I look at this event as a marriage of ceremony and sentiment and hope that it can grow and develop to highlight the good works being done by men and women of the Coast Guard. I also hope that my sentiment, my deep love and respect for Rear Admiral Rybacki helps to underscore the importance of his efforts during his lifetime and helps us to celebrate the new generation of service members that come carrying the torch. David, as I read through your impressive list of achievements, it strikes me that you are someone who takes it all on. Thank you for this. You obviously have much to be proud of at age 25. Excuse me for outing your age, but just saying. Pretty impressive. When one can list rescue, both of human beings and marine life, law enforcement, hazmat expertise, facilities management, engineering support, and search and rescue, and more on your list of responsibilities and accomplishments, you know that you're doing something right. I heard you say, after I think Senator Carr spoke, that you don't drive the boat, that you just help take care of it. Like, nobody's driving the boat if you weren't helping to take care of it. So, bravo. I say thank you to you for all that you've done and in your career so far, and I look forward to the amazing things that lie ahead. And with that being said, I would like to present you with a plaque for this. And if you join me, I will read you our wording for the award. This award is given in memory of Rear Admiral Richard I. Rybacki, United States Coast Guard, to that service member at the Merrimack River United States Coast Guard Station who has distinguished him or herself in a manner reflective of the way in which Rear Admiral Rybacki lived his life. His was a life built on integrity, honor, respect, honesty, and dedicated service to his community. May you know that your actions are greatly admired and help continue the legacy that Rear Admiral Rybacki leaves behind. Thank you.
But we aren't done yet. from the Custom House Maritime Museum, we are proud to be the host of the Admiral Rybacki Award and to open our doors and our hearts to the Coast Guard family today and every day. And all I can say is congratulations.